Welcome back, and still on the conversation around the constitutional review, which seeks to, address some issues with the constitution and find ways to modify it and make it better in a way that serves both the citizens and the lawmakers in our country. Now, joining us today in the studio is a very wonderful and interesting guest. His name is Mazi Nduka Eya. He was the pioneer provost of Federal Polytechnic Ida and former Secretary General of Ohaneze Ndigbo. Now, his decades of service in academia and public affairs, he has remained a consistent voice when it comes to issues around governance and rights of the people. And in all, he is an elder statesman. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity of bringing me here. Dying in silence is a very bad thing, but opportunity given me here has allowed me to come and air my views on our country. On our country.
Yes.
Thank you very much. To God be the glory.
Yes, to God be the glory.
Maybe just for one correction, I was registrar.
Okay, registrar.
Of Federal Polytechnic, the pioneer registrar. My provost died, Professor Chukwujeku, engineer.
All right.
Amadu Ali selected us to go and open up that particular institution, which was one of the three, which is in his home in Ida. We had one in Akure and one in northern Nigeria.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, first of all, when we talk about Nigeria in search of an acceptable constitution, in your view, would you say that Nigeria's constitution is truly acceptable as it is now?
Right. That is part of the problem. What is the problem? Nigeria, by the way, I spent my first 22 years of life under the colonial rule. I went to university on the same year as Nigeria became independent. And since then, I am now 86. So I lived through it all at different stages. What is the problem? The problem we have is that we have not even identified the problem, and we are trying to find the solution. The problem is simple. When we became independent, colonial masters ruled us and adapted us to their own system, United Kingdom pattern of governance, parliamentary democracy. And so we came and they ran us and trained us and brought us up and employed us for their sake on that pattern. Probably if we had been occupied by the French people, we would have been one of the Francophone countries. But Nigeria and Ghana were British, Sierra Leone, and so on. So we adopted their pattern. At the point we wanted to rule ourselves, there was resistance, master and servant. But finally, they succumbed. And they just didn't succumb. There were several constitutional conferences in Lancaster House, in Nigeria, everywhere, between the master and the Nigerians. And at the end, the reason, this country is large. This country has a population. If you come here, there are so many languages and dialects. In Igbo language, when I speak to you in Igbo, is a welcome language. Some people may not understand. When an Ebonyi man speaks his own dialect, but they are Igbos. You can always see common words that the Igbo man says, "Kachao, Mekao." Meka is any Igbo man understand. Meka, Imeka, and so on. So with the multifarious, multi-dimensional language, multi-dimensional religion, was in ethnicity. After negotiation, they thought that what was good for us, for such a country, is a regional federalism. Regional federalism. And that's what Nigeria came into. At that time, northern Nigeria, eastern Nigeria, western Nigeria, that's what the British rule was. First of all, there was a northern directorate and a southern directorate, separately run by the British. In the year 1914, the British decided that they're going to amalgamate these two. That's how northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria became one country. And in these multifarious things I've just spoken, they decided that what was good for us was regional federalism. Every region, take care of yourself. While we now federate as a country, and we have a government at the center whose job it is to handle all those things that make us one country. Let me explain. If we are not a federation, and we cannot be, we should have been three countries. Western Nigeria they call them maybe East and North. But there is some common thing that makes a country. One of them, there are just four: defense, currency, immigration and custom, and then foreign affairs. These are the informal. So that government in the center is supposed now to handle this on behalf of the three regions. While the three regions everybody was running on his own capacity. So there was no need for North to say, oh, just example, before the granting of independence, they wanted to give us in 1958 self-government first. And they said, as the self-government was going on, they said, if any two regions are ready, satisfied that are ready, they will give us independence. The North said they were not ready. Probably looking behind, many of us, if the South, made up of South, Eastern and Western, had said they were ready, probably what we are seeing now will not have happened. But I know that probably also we and the North will have been in war, like you find in India and Pakistan. But luckily, the South, Awolowo Azik, decided, let's wait for our brothers in the North. Many people don't know this history, and this is where we are going round the clock without identifying the problem, so we can identify the solution. So we were amalgamated and allowed us, every region. Eastern region had a flag of Nigeria, green, white, green, but at the center of the white, you found a coat of arms of Eastern region. Western region had green, white, green. At the center, there was a coat of arms of Western region. North had green, white, green. At the center, you had a coat of arms of the North. So there were three coat of arms and one national, which is the federal government, which we are using now. And things were working, my dear sister. Things were working. We experienced it the first 6 years of our national development. Will you be surprised? If you get 1 naira, what is the equivalent in dollar? 70 cents. Those of us who had a plane to travel, when you go traveler's check, you had a bundle of money. So if you went to America and they brought 2 naira, you'll be looking for 140 cents. My sister, compare it with what we have now. When you get 1 naira, when you get $1, you look for 1,500 naira. 1,500, that is $1. When in those years, our 1 naira was equivalent to 70 cents of that, 70 over 10, 7/10 of a dollar. That was the position. The University of Nigeria, and before this time, there was only one University College of London in Ibadan, where everybody, all the West Africa, they went there. It was this development, independence, that the leaders of the Eastern region thought that they had enough. And that was the year 1960 when the University of Nigeria was established. And that's why I said I entered the university in that year, in the University of Nigeria. Our own. We didn't do any tutelage with any college. We just had cooperation with the University of Michigan State University in America. Because Zeke, who went to school in America, and they had a different type of approach. The British had a vertical approach to education. The Americans had a horizontal. Many young people like you, I'm sure, will not know. When you go to every university in Nigeria today, you have a course called the General Studies. It didn't start. It was the University of Nigeria, because it's linked to America, that started General Studies. What does it mean? No matter, you are going to be an engineer, you have to have broad-based education. So you must do some course in sociology, in economics. In fact, for me, I was admitted to do English. But I did economics, I did sociology, I did music, I did German, and so on. So that probably, as I'm talking, you are not, as a graduate, you are not oblivious of other knowledge that you can relate with other people. Before long, all the universities in Nigeria started doing it. Why? The first examination in the public service, the first 6 places were taken by students from University of Nigeria. And it made a difference. That's impact. Also, then you go to West. The cocoa house you see today was product of cocoa farming. That was the era of regional democracy. The North, many young people don't know. They could not evacuate the groundnut produced in the North, so they were heaping them at the cargo airports like pyramids, Egyptian pyramids. That's why he talked about groundnut pyramids. So there was development. Our GDP at that time was 8% compared to what I'm talking about. So we had an experience of 6 years, and that constitution was good. Regional autonomy, then they were in charge of their resources, all their resources, and they contributed 50%. They kept 50%. They contributed 30% to the center in order to fund that government that handles them as a country. And another 20% is left. They called it a sovereign fund, so that in emergency, everybody shared that one. So you developed your own, and there was healthy competition. That was the year we refer to, the patriots refer to it as the golden years of Nigeria. Then the military coup came. And also, you must separate the military coup, my dear sister. The coup of January 15, 1966 was a national coup by young boys from all extractions in the army, Nigerian young boys who went to Sandhurst and so on. That the leaders are leading us into their living richly, while the rest of us are poor. And they wanted to change it to get government. As a matter of fact, people are now developing to know that all they wanted, comparing their leaders, they wanted to oust the government and install Awolowo. So it was a coup led by 11 people, out of which only 3 are Igbos. I'm coming why I use this. At the end of it, the coup was a failure. The coup of January 14 was a failure because it succeeded in the West, it succeeded in the North, but for some reason it didn't succeed in the East because a foreign visitor was visiting East. And those boys who are supposed to catch or kill could not have, because of international outcry, to kill the people while they had the airport seeing off the international Archbishop Macarius. That's why it failed. So it was not deliberate. But what happened? The young northern officers considering the killing, decided that was an Igbo coup. And that's why they decided not to kill their own people, but to kill their own. This is where the problem started. Why I'm saying we must separate the January 15 coup from the other coups that followed, to which I will come. In this confusion, it was the Nigerian Senate whose president was Akweke Nwafor from Nnewi. He was the president. The Senate, civilian Senate, took a decision because there was chaos in the coup. Nobody knew that the coup was coming, but some people have seized power. It was the Senate that now invited the military, the army of Nigeria, please come and stabilize us. We don't know what your boys are doing. As a matter of fact, Aguiyi himself, as commander, was not part of the coup. His life was in danger. But like when invited, he came and made sure that those boys, Zog was still in the north, somebody was still somewhere, and he said, you wait, I've taken over the command. And it was trouble bringing the boys because they wanted to be sure that when they come, nobody is going to hurt them or court-martial them. So Aguiyi, as head of the army, was also in danger. But he bravely took the invitation. And his first broadcast, Nigerians, we are not trained to govern. I'm almost quoting. We are not trained to govern. Therefore, we are not going to follow the constitution that is democratic. We will stabilize you during the period. We stabilize you by our own rule, command and control. In the army, the commander says go, and you go. If you don't go, you can be court-martialed. You say stop, you stop. You say shoot, you shoot. That is how the army was trained, and that is how they were going to do us. So, all the ideas of parliamentary, they suspended that 1963 constitution. They suspended it. It's suspended. Later, it's suspended. It's not abrogated. And that's the top point I'm going to. The other coups that followed were coups, not national. The northern officers said, oh, they went on to kill all Igbo officers. They not only left it, they went to the villagers, to the civilians who live in, and started killing Igbos. That's where the pogrom issue started. Because some people misconstrued what happened, which was a mistake. The other coup that follows now become power after power. They installed Yakubu Gowon as head of state. Did you know what Yakubu Gowon said? His first speech, there is no basis for Nigerian unity. Later on, when the war came, he now said to keep Nigeria one, he said, task that must be done. These are social history that people should know. So what I'm trying to say is that when the military came, they decided to run us, not on our constitution, but they started by, they still left us in regions. Ojukwu in Enugu, Usman Kashina in the north, and some, I forgot the name, the Yoruba man in the west. During this period, Nigeria, in civil government democracy, were able, following agitations, to have a meeting and create a fourth region called Midwest region, because it was necessary, led by Osadebe. So by the time the military came, we already had 4 regions, and David Ojo was the one in the Midwest. So the army was organized in our regional set, but things started happening.
All right, so
what I'm saying is that at the end, the military came and ruled over 33 years in their own fashion. And when they were leaving in 1999, they decided to impose a unitary command constitution on us. So we have 2 strange bedfellows. Our suspended constitution which we are brought up and which we are founded, and a completely different type of government, unitary, command unitary. These two strange portfolios, that until you reconcile them or separate them, there will be no peace. That's where our trouble started. So since then, 1999, that was 25 years ago, our people, Nigerians, have been trying to reconcile the unitary constitution and our chosen, our foundation system of government. This is where the trouble has been. And the constitution, that was why in 2014, which coincided, my sister, with the 100 years of Nigeria as a country, President Jonathan convoked a constitution conference, 2014, 492 people, elected from different groups, political parties, that's politicians, law profession, the bench, also market women, civil society organization. They went and they sat down and they came out 623 unanimous resolution, which would have formed the birth of a new constitution for us. But what happened? Because Jonathan was defeated, the APC government of my late what's his name now? What's his name? Muhammad Buhari.
Buhari, okay.
Muhammad Buhari put that in the waste paper basket. It didn't see the light of day. Okay. A thing that would have given us a good constitution. Tinubu came, it has not seen it, because APC was the only party invited that did not attend that interview. That convention. The APC assistant did not attend that national conference. Later on, they sent on their own committee under El-Rufai. That report has not seen the light of day. That is where we are. So we are saying, we don't need, we have been trying to patch this constitution of the army, yes, for 25 years.
So what do you think about these constant reviews? Do you think they are necessary? What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you. My thought, and that agrees with what the patriots are saying, we don't just need this piecemeal selected review of our constitution. We need a completely new constitution that will bring up from the foundation of our state as a country. Let's go back to the regional federalism. That is what they call true federalism. What is true federalism? There are federating units where the regions are responsible, they are autonomous, and they are responsible for their own resources, while contributing to the center that is coordinating. What it is like, if you know, my dear sister, you know that today every zone has a development commission set up by the center. That's not proper. Where the center dictates to them how to develop their zones. What we are saying is that this is a reversal by the army. Army appropriated all the resources of our country and now started giving to the owners of the resources. And we must revert to true federation. That's why I have Dabanjo, may he rest in peace, at 93. We must restructure. Edwin Clark, he's dead. We must restructure. None of this patch. We had the cloth we had in 1999 constitution, which fitted us. There had been so much tear. And now the patch is so much that we need a fresh garment. That is what we are saying. We need and therefore, if we are going to do a new constitution, it is not the National Assembly that will do it, because my sister, I appeared in the public hearing last Saturday.
Okay.
And that is not what we are supposed to be doing for public hearing. How can you come to a zone? You have 24 people to talk, and you give them two minutes. 24 people times 2 is 48 minutes. So if only 24 people spoke, the committee from the National Assembly spent only 48 minutes to hear submissions from a whole zone: Anambra, Enugu, and Ebonyi. And I asked them, what did you hear? For example, the paper, a copy of which I'm sure you have.
Yes.
It's a 4-page document on A4 size paper. 4-page. And I was to present it in 2 minutes. They didn't allow me to ask the question I wanted to direct this particular conference. And when I was asked to speak, by the time I made my introduction, your time is up, 2 minutes, and they cut off the microphone. I've been calling my own representative who was there from my home. For the past, since Saturday I was calling, he has not been able to answer. Because I want to ask him, what did I say? What was my presentation? I left them a copy of the paper, but they will not read it.
You can share with us what the content of the paper is.
Well, you know, because of my blind, I should be reading it, but I believe I have it. But go and ask your question. I will go and expand where I think it touches. But I can tell you.
What you wanted to say to the...
First of all, Nigeria, the new constitution must be clear. What system of governance are we running? Is it regional democracy, or is it just democracy, or is it a unitary government? Let me remind you, you have presidential system. That presidential system was an introduction by the army. IBB just thought Nigeria should become presidential, and that was it. Command and control. It was not democratic. My sister, the states you talk about today, were not created by Nigerian civilians, Nigerian citizens. They were created by the military. And how did it start? Eastern region had become a war zone where they wanted to beat Eastern region. To go on said he was going on police action against Ojukwu. They attacked us. Eastern region held them. Then the one came and said, okay, I must break the solidarity. So he broke. The first 12 states created in Nigeria was created by General Gowon, and he did it not for patriotic reasons. He did it just to break the solidarity of the Southeast. And immediately that state was created, Rivers went and Cross River went. Cross River today was also later on, as there were more craze for states. Rivers, Cross River was broken into Akwa Ibom and Cross River, and Rivers was split into Bayelsa and Rivers. This is how these people, many young people don't know this. The one is today, how great ruler is, the damage you did to our country is there, but let it be. We've gone beyond that. We must decide, and our recommendation is go back to regional democracy, and in my own particular instance, with minimum further disruptions, because people already have states now. People have local governments now. And people are governors. There are commissioners. They've all got positions. They're earning money. Then you want to kill them. How do we go back without disrupting what's already on the ground? And the answer is simple. My proposal, and which agrees with what the patriots are saying, I've just sent a letter to the patriots saying, kudos, here is my own paper. It agrees with what they are thinking. We must go back to the regional democracy. And I propose either 7 or 8 regions. And I'll give you the reason. Why region? These regions should be formed with the closest socio-cultural affinities, closest socio-cultural affinities. Those whose social cultural affinity are closer should group together as a region. That way, you find the intolerance has been reduced because they are of the same social cultural standing. They understand themselves more. What we did before was in northern Nigeria, southern Nigeria, midwest Nigeria, southwest Nigeria. My dear brother and sister, one mistake we made as a Nigerian is to take hook and sinker the British determination of North and South Nigeria. Those of you who know who see Nigeria, it is North and South Nigeria. That is why we are having the northern problem, North-South problem. Each time I say, the North, say the North. What they call northern Nigeria was more than half of Nigeria. And my solution to it in order to arrive at equity. Thanks to God, we have had what we call Federal Capital Territory, right at the center of Nigeria. Thanks to those, Justice Toby, them who created that place. Abuja is fairly equidistant from all parts of Nigeria, from any part of Nigeria. So we can take it that. Now let us go, what is the geographical, physical geography of how we determine North and South? And I said, let's go back to school. We did geography. We have 4 cardinal points, east, west, north, and south. 2 to the center of that cross on Abuja. They can see clearly what makes northern Nigeria, what makes southern Nigeria. You can see clearly what is east of Nigeria or what is west of Nigeria. So you have 4 spaces. If you want to go further, that weather curve, as we called it, shows you what is northeast, what is northwest, what is southeast, what is southwest. With this map, we propose that you can now, with Abuja at the center, FCT, which is the seat of the federal government, the seat of the federal government. With that weathercock, you can now easily define northwest. You can easily define north central. You can easily define northeast based on this closest affinity. Then you come down, and I gave an example that if you do what I've just said, putting the weathercock, the location called Oturubo is certainly not a northern Nigeria location. Physical, geographical northern Nigeria. Oturubo is not in the north. It's somewhere in the south, generally. But why it is that it's in the north? And that is why the northern portion every time say, oh, we are bigger than you. We are not. We are bigger. Now our proposal is in order to kill that issue. I've talked about northwest, north central, northeast. We now have to come to develop Otubo. It's in the south, but it's not in the east. That is true. You have people living abroad, what we call middle belt now. You have had now growing middle belt people like Bandev and so on. So, my proposal, you can easily from this weather chart know how far can you go to the right to enter east. How can you go to the left in the middle belt to enter west? So you create a situation in that joint center, what we call a middle belt region. That will take off all these people, Benue and so on, into a region. That makes 4. Okay? Then you come down to the east, to the south. What we call south-south today is a misnomer. you cannot really put it on the 4 cardinal points, the south-south. The proper name for that place is southeast. You can see it very clearly. Then you leave the southeast. Then you come there. You come to south central, which I propose that region. Now you have southeast region, which will be the present south-south. Then towards the center, you have an east central region. We used to have east central state. All those east central region becomes east central region. You can do it in the center. There is a place that can be center, but it's not in the east central. I then propose west central region before you go to the southwest. So down there, southwest, west central region, east central region, southeastern region. 4 of them. 1, then middle belt, that is 5. Then northwest, north central, northeast, that's 8. If we don't want it, then we can reduce it to 7 and merge the east central and west central into one region, calling them central Nigerian region, or whatever you call it, central region. And this will automatically lead to Anioma. You know that there's also a river that separates Anambra and Asaba. But Asaba is in a different state. So if you do this region, then go back and let the regions go in. They take control of their resources and they all contribute to a federal center, which will make the one country, issue visas, issue passports, monetary consideration, migration and customs, foreign affairs and home affairs. All these are things that make us one country. Just for clarification, when we call a federation, there is also what you call confederation. Confederation is a federation of countries that have come together to become one country. They are called a confederation. They will do exactly, each country is autonomous, but anything that binds them as a country, now they set up a central government. So our proposal is either you have 7 regions or 8 regions who are autonomous. Then the issue of claims for more states, claims for more local governments will disappear automatically, because in 1960 to 1966, my sister interviewed me. I went to school. I came from a place called Igbo County Council. There were many county councils. Igbo County Council. I went to secondary school from 1951 to 1955 on the scholarship of that county council. Not regional scholarship. The region had their own scholarship scheme, but the county council gave their own children scholarship. And I spent 5 years with a scholarship. The first year I didn't do what they wrote me a letter. If you continue, I do withdraw scholarship. I did what I read in the Bible. I just went to a chapel, spread the letter, and started weeping. Things went better. I did much better. That I ended as a prefect in that place. So, and one significant thing, because when we are talking now, people don't know. During vacation, at that time, schools were open from January till June. September to June. From June to September is long vacation, when the British teachers will have to go home for summer holidays. So the system was schools opened in September and closed in June, except the primary school that closed January to December. And when I have that vacation, as a secondary school boy, I went home to my people who gave me scholarship. And part of the vacation job I did was conducting council election. Conducting in class 3. And that was option A4. What did you did this accreditation? There was nothing. It was not expensive. We are having local government election. How many people are contesting that day? What we call Otobo, the square. You come there, and who are contesting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stand there, stand there. Stand. If you want to vote for this, go and stand behind him. Within 10 minutes, everybody has seen what the result is, and the election is over. But in our assumption of things without asking questions, we've got to answer. Do you know that there was a time when independent candidates, every candidate had a box with his photograph? If you want to vote and you put a vote. What happened? Politicians learned when they see somebody who is beating them, they go and carry his own box and destroy. That's how box disappears. Individual disappears. We now said, put everybody in one box. If you carry it, everybody loses. You can see what is going on now. That is why I was for basic common sense. If you miss a road, my dear, if you miss a road, and you just find you miss a road, you go back to where you missed it to be able to take your bearing again. That's all we are saying. Let's go back where we made a mistake. The military came and suspended our. Let's bring that constitution. Let it be the framework on which we are but we are saying without more destruction. When you create these regions, if they want to create states, they already absorb states that are within the region, and we hide with little boundary adjustment. Because what are they? The base is that no state should fall between two regions. That will not be fair. Or no community, no ethnic community should fall within two regions. Where that happens, you have to adjust your boundary. That state or that community will decide which of the regions they want to belong to. And that is by referendum. Once they decide, then they are moved completely. Then they will readjust the boundary. These are very simple things. And we propose also that this thing needs a time frame because of what is going on. We are 2 years into a 4-year period of present government. We are already, nobody is talking about 2026. We are in 25, we are talking about 2027.
Exactly.
Nobody is talking about 2026. And I know that if this constitution changes, it will disturb all the things, all this noise they are making, all this money they are spending. And our proposal is put a time frame. And my proposal is short term. And I said, if you have the political will, what I'm proposing can happen by 2027. What is it? A 1 year plus transition period, beginning from July 2025 to 28 May 2027, with effective date on 29th May 2027. In other words, if we have the political will, if the players, the politicians who are now telling us right about, are not everywhere in fact, Oman wants to flag a road, you know, so and so those in support. Aye, we are talking about 2027 when we still have 2020 ahead of us. We don't know who will be alive. If we have the political will, let us go. Bring this regional constitution, new constitution. You can do it within 1 year plus, 1 year and a half. That is between now and the end of 2026.
Yes.
Then you do your election in normal way. By May 2027, you have a new constitution. That's short term. But if, because I know the politicians, you want time to adjust, to refix your money, because that is the thing. Do your gimmick as politician. You will need whatever. Let's do a 5-year transition, beginning from now till 2031. 2030, that is July 2025 to 28th May 2031 for the new constitution to take effect from 29th May 2031.
Okay, Mazi Eya,
Yes.
because we are running out of
Thank
time.
you, I'm sorry.
Can we, just before you go,
Yes.
what is the way forward? What should Nigeria do? You know,
The patriots, I hope you heard about them,
yes.
agree with what I'm saying, and I agree with what I say. All I said, all this carnival or jamboree of public hearing, all we need to do is, so, Mr. President, patriots say, INEC, that is their own view. INEC or Mr. President, whose duty it is, set up a committee of people, professionals, in the manner of the 2014 confab. They have all the documents for this new constitution available. The 1963 document is there. The 2014 report is there. Obasanjo's effort to amend the Army Constitution of 2005 is there. The Army Constitution itself that is there. That body should just synchronize, collate, and come out with, the patriots call it, a blueprint that is a new constitution for Nigeria. Send it to the people for a referendum. Our people, this is what we think should go on. Do you agree? They say yes. That becomes law. And if it's a referendum, who will sign it? The President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House of Reps, and Mr. President. 3. But if they want to now do it as they provided in the Constitution, the National Assembly will sit and pass that document. Then they will send it to the 36 states for 2/3 of it to approve before it's approved. But once it's a referendum, that is, it becomes sovereign. The people say this is what we want, and that is this one will not take another year. That's why in the short term it will work. But what we are saying, we are in the hands of politicians, and they are the people against what we are doing. Mr. President, Democrat, says restructuring is not a priority. Why not? That is the foundation. That's what determines how you run. They are all earning huge money, spending our money, Nigerian money, billions and billions and billions are going. When what we are saying will be easy, elections will be cheaper. You know how much INEC costs us? How many billions? And at the end will come. You know, the judicial, all these states, the regions will be independent, have their own judiciary, and the only thing center is an appeal court where everybody can go and appeal. That is very simple for some of us who have lived through it. Unfortunately, the majority of the younger ones don't know their history. Let me just round up by telling you, look at what is going on the autonomy of local governments. The first time attempt was made on autonomy of local government was in the 8th Assembly, headed by Saraki and the Koromado. They followed the Constitution. The National Assembly passed it and sent it to the state assemblies. They couldn't get 2/3, so it didn't pass. What has Ademite, the new Attorney General, done? The Constitution of Nigeria says all local government accounts will be operated in a joint account with of the state, where the state will contribute 10% of its internally generated revenue. It is then a joint account of the state and its local government. They will now sit down and see how the amount will be spent in developing the areas.
Yes.
Okay, that's what it is. What did he do? He said he went to the court to get an interpretation, and the court, oh, they should receive their money direct. Let's concede, let's accept but not consider that it has become it's a law. We consider it's a law.
Yes.
But does that law supersede our constitution, which says that any other law, the constitution says, the military constitution, any other law which contrasts with any section of this constitution to that extent is null and void. Some of us who are not speaking, they don't hear or they don't want to hear, are saying that law interpretation direct to the extent that is inconsistent with provision of the constitution is null and void.
Nduka Eya, I mean, there is so much to say. I mean, I wish we could continue this conversation.
Just call me anytime.
We'll call you back at some other time to continue to speak on this. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being a constant voice when it comes to, governance in Nigerian issues like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless you.
Nduka Eya, Pioneer Registrar, yes. Federal Polytechnic, Ida. He's an elder statesman, he's an educationist, former Secretary General.
In fact, I was former Commissioner of Education in the old Anambra State.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for giving me opportunity, and I hope I have more opportunities.
You will.
Our people need to know. Our people need to understand so that we can move forward. We are dying. My dear sister, have you heard? Some people are complaining we are hungry.
Yes.
And some people say you can go on the demonstration while we are eating.
Well, all right. The morning show will be back in a moment, but coming up next is Political Circle with Dr. Luke Mbo.
Thank you.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV.